Hello everyone, happy Sunday. The following is an instructional video covering single variable testing in SEO. The purpose of utilizing this tactic is to isolate a single variable and draw a singular conclusion. Doing so will allow you to break apart existing compound strategies and eliminate waste. Uncover the 80-20 impact creating moves and tactics, and overall create better results. I do not recall where I was first introduced to this idea. I've always been very interested in data and the consistency of utilizing data to govern marketing decisions, and just how statistically these decisions work better than the average I've personally been exposed to has been quite attractive. This is the Convert For stream on digital marketing, building efficient systems, and growing websites' visibility. If you enjoy it, subscribe below on our YouTube, give it a thumbs up, or simply just connect with me on Facebook at Matthew, spelled with one T, Boyerski, B as in boy, Ojerski. Let's get started. So we're going to be going over this blog post I wrote a couple weeks ago, and this is just one section I wanted to discuss today in a quick video. And it's talking about how a traditional SEO strategy provides on-page optimization, and this is just one example. There's a lot of areas that you can break apart in SEO and single variably test. There's been numerous counts of over 200 different SEO factors that are, I guess, factors pertaining to your website that go into ranking a web page. This example that we're talking about here, we're only going to be looking at 3 different tactics, which all bucket into one category, which is called on-page optimization. For those of you who don't know, on-page optimization is just improving the improving certain elements on a specific web page that help it rank better in the search results. So looking at this diagram, in this top portion here, we have on-page optimization with these 3 arrows that go down to keyword in the title, keyword in the URL, and keyword in the heading tag. I chose these 3 because they're probably been the most popular and some of the most spoken about places to optimize for your target keyword on a page. And I figured they'd be a good example to use here. So this traditional way is kind of common. You probably find on-page SEO checklists everywhere, which are good to have. I think it's important to have an on-page SEO checklist or some type of procedure that you go through each and every page to provide consistency. The more consistent you are and the cleaner website environment you have, the better opportunity you're going to be able to understand why you're moving up or why you're moving down, especially after a Google update. So I highly encourage that. I'm not here to say checklists or on-page optimization checklists aren't a good thing to use. I think they are. But what I'm saying here is if you aren't single variably testing, that would mean that you're multivariable testing. So with each page that you optimize, maybe you're using more than 3. Maybe instead of keyword title, keyword in URL, and keyword in heading tag, you're also adding keyword in the meta description. And maybe you're also using the keyword within the first 100 words. That would be 5 different variables. If you're constantly using those 5 variables across all of your web pages, how will you know if one of those variables stops working? And the answer is you won't. And I've been increasingly seeing this happen just with client sites and just sites that I'm kind of paying attention to and monitoring, and SEOs that I admire. I watch their work as well. And if you're constantly utilizing these 5 variables, and if there's a Google algorithm update like there was last week, and one of these stops working, you're going to see traffic plummet across maybe not all of your pages because everything is weighted differently. Maybe some of your pages that didn't drop in traffic have a high authority and you have great links to those pages. It's going to be really hard to differentiate what exactly is going wrong with your site unless you map it out with this method that I'm talking about right now. So this kind of strategy that we use here, we purposefully single variable test different sets of pages. So we'll choose and we'll try to get as close as possible to having clean data across these pages. And what I mean by clean data is we try to make sure these pages either don't have any backlinks, or they don't have any internal links, or maybe they have the same types of internal links. Maybe they have very, very, very similar backlinks in terms of authority and topical relevance. It's very hard to do. It takes a lot of time, but creating this environment within your client site is going to save you a lot of heartache. I promise you that. So when you have these pages, let's just say we have 10 pages in this environment that have clean data, as I kind of described before. And within those 10 pages, we're only going to add our target keyword in the title. Same thing over here. This subset of 10 pages, we're only going to add our target keyword in the URL. And then same thing with this third set of pages, third set of 10 pages or more. We're only going to add our target keyword in the heading tag. By doing so, when you have a large enough group of single variable, isolated pages just like this that are your essentially control pages, you're not really doing anything other than these experiments on. And obviously you don't want to do these to your top performers, right? Because they're not top performers. They're built and created to learn, which is almost just as important as your top revenue drivers in a lot of cases, if you're looking for sustainability long term. Once you have all these built out, as soon as Google has an update, or as soon as something changes in your niche, or as soon as something stops working, one of these levers is going to flip, almost like a circuit breaker. If you can imagine, if you're making toast and you're also running your microwave, and you also have your oven on, and you're also juicing celery, because that's cool these days, and you break a circuit, or your circuit goes out, what happens, right? The circuit flips to the other side. That's exactly what's going to happen. And once you have that data and you know what circuit's flipped, you know exactly what circuit to flip back on, right? You don't have to guess. And if you do this enough times, you do this with enough different variables, you do this with enough different pages, you start to really create a learning system within your website that going to help you make better decisions long term. It's also going to save you a lot of stress and heartache when things stop working well, or if you plateau. Plateauing is very, very frustrating. And another benefit to having this done is once you see this circuit flipped, if keyword in the heading tag isn't working well anymore, or maybe it's now an over-optimizing signal, which is a common issue in SEO. You can over-optimize fairly easily. Then you just remove this from your main system. And because you know that the keyword in the heading tag no longer works anymore, you go to your top tier pages, and little by little, you remove the keyword from the heading tag. And you start to see an increase because because of your control environment, because the data is clean, and because you observe this change in your website's behavior, you know that this is no longer beneficial towards your site. So you go to your main core set of pages, and you start testing removing that. And when you get a large scale percentage, over 50%, then you start to see incremental revenue gains. And let me be clear, when we do observe this change, making this change or removing this change, most of the time, it's not 100% of the time our page is going to increase in traffic. Sometimes if we're ranking in number 3, we'll go to number 4, maybe for a couple pages, or we'll lose 10% of our traffic to some of our pages, but in others, we'll gain 20% or we'll gain 30%. So marginal gains across the full set of the pages is the goal in SEO, especially if you're working in enterprise. It's very difficult to increase all of the pages traffic all of the time. If you're testing and improving correctly, you should continually see an upwards growth. But to have all of your pages growing all of the time, it's just not practical, especially if you're a big brand and you own the top of the SERPs. Going from position 1 to position 2, you're going to lose 30 to 50% of your traffic to that page. So it's just not practical to own that all the time unless you have a ridiculous link building budget, which some businesses do, and that's fine. It just depends on what they prioritize, but that's pretty much how this works. So hope this was helpful for you guys. Let me know if you have any other questions as to how to set up this type of environment within your website. It's one of the best things that I've learned in SEO, and it's helped me out immensely. And I don't really have to guess so much anymore. We do still test and we do still theorize and hypothesize new strategies that we're constantly testing, which I guess is a form of guessing, right? But everything is measured very, very efficiently. So we know if what we're suggesting is working or not. And when we do see a change, observe a change in Google or a change in the search results, we can see what's happening. And if we don't see what's happening, we know there's a gap, right? Maybe there's an on-page factor that we're not aware of, or maybe it's an off-page factor we're not aware of. So then we know exactly where to dig. Whereas if your website is down in traffic, instead of going through a checklist of 200 pages, you're now able to look at correlation. So you can see, okay, these 10 pages were down. What changes did we make to those 10 pages that we didn't make to any of the other pages that are up in traffic? So it becomes very easy to diagnose traffic losses. I hope that helps, guys. That's all I got for today. And again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. This is the Convert 4 stream on digital marketing, building efficient systems, and growing websites visibility. I'd really appreciate if you guys would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. If you like this type of content, I'll gladly put out more. And, just connect with me on Facebook if you have any questions or you'd like to collaborate or just talk strategy. Always fun for me. But you can find me at Matthew spelled with one T, Bojerski, Bojerski. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.